Okay, let's start then. Let's start with a simple question. I will go back to the chat because I want to see how many of you have at least one in your life have participated in European project. You can say like yes, right in the chat, yes чи так. Хто хоч раз приймав участь, чи да, я бачу, хтось написав 0, я думаю, що це не разу. Да, yes, чи no, чи 0. Так, yes, я бачу 2 учасника, 3 учасника в 3 проєктах. Окей, yes. О, Світлану Масліч, я навіть знаю. Привіт, Світлана. Так, плюс, ми з Світланою співпрацювали, супер. Yes. У нас дуже аудиторія, як кажуть, project savvy. Я бачу, що є досвід. Окей, супер, дуже дякую. Тоді я розумію те, що ви знаєте, що таке гранти, і якщо для вас щось буде repetition, то вибачаю зарані, тому що я хочу розповісти про, скажімо так, спочатку. Але задавайте питання, якщо дуже буде просто чи дуже складно. Окей. Yes, let us start then. And with another question, if you write in the chat, if you think about your organization, about your company, and about its mission, what you're working with, and about the company's needs. And if you win a grant tomorrow, what will you do with this grant? What would you use this grant for? And yes, please write this answer also in the chat, so we can then go through it a little bit, see what you're answering. So if tomorrow you get a grant money, what would you use this money for? If question is not clear, just shout out because I don't see anymore the screen with chat. I want you to see the question. But please write, what would you do? And I will soon change back to the chat so you can see the answers and I can see them as well. So, invest in product growth, legal organization, primary steps, strictly for the purpose we've written in the application, Bogdan. Yes. Invest in the project growth. Yes. Product growth. Yes. Good. Thank you. Yes, then it shows really that you understand very much what grant is. So, promise for today, we will go through together once again what is grant, what is European grant, how to navigate in this jungle, because it's hundreds of grants available on the internet, hundreds of European grants, national grants, local grants. I will show you how easily zoom out and navigate in this jungle of opportunities and to find exactly the right for your business or for your organization, because I've seen that some of you are educational. It's not everyone is business, not everyone is startup in this workshop. So basically, what's suitable for you, how to quickly see that this grant is for our organization in order to start writing the grant application. So basically, today's session is more introductory. We will speak about like what is grant, how to search, and how to make sure that this is something you want for your organization. And then the next 3 workshops, which we will continue every week, 1 workshop, we will dive into how to write a successful project application. So I will lead you basically step by step from finding the opportunity to preparing a successful application. And I will speak without filters, basically that you need no more help, that you can proceed yourself and do that. So I will really reveal you all the industry secrets in this workshop. So don't hesitate, ask anything you want to know, because the goal is really to provide you with all information you need in order to understand this field and to navigate in it. So I've already got the presentation, what I know about grants, and I know a lot about grants because for almost 20 years, this is my professional field. Basically, this is what I'm doing for life. I'm writing, I'm consulting in this field, I'm training in this field. I've been evaluated for 6 years, and success rate for grant applications my team does is 60 to 70%, which is very high because the average is 8%, 8 to 12 is when you have done everything right. But to do it professionally is like to increase your chances. Then it's a strategic grant management and strategic grant finding, which Mira works with basically. So, and today, as I said, I will share, and other 3 workshops, I will share everything I know, so you can also take part of this knowledge and this long experience I have in the field. So, yes, before we go to the next picture, now the very direct question, I go back to the chat. What is grant? If you write in Ukrainian, if you feel more comfortable, write in the chat, what is grant? If you summarize like an elevator pitch in 1 sentence, how would you define grant? Грошики, yes, definitely. We want грошики and a lot. Thank you, Lilia. Other ideas? Грошики is also by investors and by bank loans, but what is grant compares to other sources of financing? Is it any difference between grant and tender? Non-refundable, yes, good. Non-returnable, yes. Any more ideas? How grant differs from all other financing you can get as an organization? Good. Thank you for 3 brave ones who answered. Now I will tell you from what I know, what is grant. And let's proceed. What is grant? Exactly, it's money, as Lilia answered, грошики. But this money you do not have to repay. You don't need to give it back as when you take a bank loan. And you do not need to give away equity of your organization if you're a startup. So basically, when you apply for money for investors, then you need to pay back by equity shares in your company. And loan you need to pay back. But this money you get forever, and you don't need to get anything away, not give anything back, just good results for your grant. So this is why grant is extremely good source of financing for any organization together with other sources of financing, or like Mira, my company, we simply deal on the grants only. We never took any bank loan or anything else because grants is really good source of financing to develop your idea or your service in a good way. So just to zoom out before we go into characteristics, you see in this little circle, these characteristics which are common for all grants, all European grants and all grants in the world. But just to explain you how the grant works for those who don't know grants, because some of you showed that you don't have experience. So I just want to zoom back a little bit and explain. So on the websites of those who give grants, there are some authorities, some grant givers, who are responsible for managing the grants. So they get the grants to their budget, and then they share the grants with those organizations, institutions, as small and scale, medium scale organizations, and just for those organizations who this grant is meant for. So they basically manage the grant. So that responsible organization, when they receive the money, they must publish those money publicly on their website and make it available for all organizations which are relevant for this grant. So basically, it's always public competition for all who can apply. This is grant. That's why they're competitive and they are open. And when this we say call for proposals, when this grant is published on the website, all organizations which are relevant for this grant, they apply. And it's always a special form which you fill in. You answer basically a number of questions, which we call a project application, and you fill in budget. how much money you need for your project idea. And then after you fill in this form, everyone who wants this money, they apply the same for the same according to the same form. And there is always a date when you need to send in your project proposal. So basically, if 20 organizations want this money, they all fill in these forms, they all fill in the budget, and they all need to submit or send in the application according to a certain deadline. Then the call for proposal normally closes, and the grant managing organization, who is responsible for sharing this money, they start evaluation process. And I was evaluator for 6 years. So when we got all these applications, we checked if those first step is always evaluator reads if this grant is technically correctly applied. I see if this is a right organization, right country, if the organization which applied follows all the technical criteria in the call for proposals. So they're really relevant to apply for this grant. And when this technical evaluation is done, it's always the first step, because some organizations don't really read the rules and they apply for the wrong grant. But when those who apply for the right grant, according to deadline, according to all the rules, then the real evaluation starts of the content of the project idea, of the project plan, how budget is relevant with the project activities, and most important, how this grant is aligned with what we want as a grant manager, what we want to solve, our bigger idea, our bigger mission. Because every fund, when they share these grants, they give it for very, very specific priorities. So that's why this field is so complicated, because it's hundreds of grants all the time open. I will show you then the database where you can look, but it's actually thousands per year. But each grant is given for a certain mission and a certain area. And this is what I will explain you for. So basically, now it's important for you to remember this process, that it's a certain date the grant opportunity opens. It's a certain template which you fill in, you answer those questions. Then you close it, you send it to grant manager, then they evaluate your idea, and then they send you a decision. Then they send you a decision if you receive the money or not. And if you receive the money, then you are lucky one. Then you have got the project and you got the money and you can start working on your idea. If you do not receive the money, you normally get explanation why not. So for the next time, you can read and become even better. So I love these rejections, because we learn a lot from them, because I see what we did wrong and what we could do better in order to do a better proposal. So anyway, you get a formal decision letter, yes or no, and why. Yes and why no. And those are good to read. So if you have any question about these general projects, how the grant sharing goes, please ask in the chat and I can reply those questions later. But now I will go through 3 characteristics which are common for all thousands grants and all grants which are published by all these grant givers every year. So it's really 3 characteristics which make them very similar between each other, even though they are given for different purposes. The first, these are the 3. So let's go to the first one, targeted. I already mentioned that each grant proposal is given for a specific sector, and it's always a priority to focus on. By sector, I mean it's IT grants, deep tech grants, it's medicine grants, it's educational grants, it's food industry, food sector grants, it's agricultural grants. So every basically grant is always sector specific. It's no general grant. They are given for a certain area. And why these grants even exist? Because European Union wants to improve those areas. They want to become more competitive, do better good for the social needs, do better good for people, create innovation, create something new, test, help people who are in need. So every grant is in a specific area. If it's medicine, then it's medicine. And also every year, what is published in the grant is a certain priorities. So every year, European Commission decides what do we want to improve in this sector. And they publish exact priorities in these different programs. If it's a deep tech, now it's very much general IE, how to improve it, cutting edge research. It's a lot in those programs which are about IT and deep tech. It's a lot of general IE and specific IE agents and all how to use it for humanity. If it's medicine, it's about that. It's both research, development of innovation, testing, and all those areas. So, and they write exactly. I will give you example. For example, educational grant, which is called Erasmus Plus. I think some of you, when I see the list of participants, already participated in Erasmus Plus projects. It's educational grant, and it's given for both higher educations, professional education, and adult education. And every year they publish what they want to improve in education sector. One year it can be more focused on training teachers to make teachers more equipped with the digital tools to make the education more inclusive, more digital, more interactive. Then it can be priorities about how to include groups which are far from education, most disadvantaged groups, like migrants, like people with different disabilities, how to include them in education. So it's always a priority, which is a certain mission, which is certain concrete purpose, what the European Union wants to solve. And this money is given for those brilliant organizations which have ideas how to solve these concrete problems, how to meet these priorities. And that's why it's very important that when you look for grants for you, first of all, you check in your sector. And second of all, you really read what priorities they want to focus on this year in this call. And then how do I fit with my organization or my idea in these priorities? So all these grants are very targeted. It's no common. It's not like when you pitch to investors, it's the opposite. You come with your idea and you tell how your idea, what your idea is, what's the market, So basically they listen all this jungle of different types of startups and ideas, and then they can invest in those which are most interesting. Grant is the opposite. It's a very specific call for proposals, very specific priority, and they want best and most innovative solution to meet those priorities. So this is the difference between grants and all other types of financing. It's the first. So if you have any questions about this right now in the chat, so because I go to the second one, but I will address your questions then in Q&A session. Second characteristic is competitive. This field is extremely competitive. Average success rate for those who just enter and just have a great idea without like experience and strategic vision on this, it's 8 to 12%, and it's already great. I mean, between 0 and 8% chance, it's a great chance if you're a beginner. And I'm thinking those of you who are beginners after these 4 workshops, which we will have together, you will come to this success rate or higher. It depends like on the idea and on the grant, because some grants are more competitive than others. For example, if it's a grant which is European Union gives exactly for Ukrainian startups in agriculture or in IT, then you only compete with Ukrainian startups in agriculture or IT. But if it's a grant for the whole European Union for all organizations in agriculture or IT, then it becomes much more competitive. So it depends also on a grant. Some grants are more competitive than others, and it depends also how good you are in pitching, in writing, how good you are to write down your idea and to exactly answer this question so you convince the evaluator that your grant idea meets the priority better than others, and you will solve this social problem better than others with your idea, with your organization. So basically, it's both. It's not only on you who write, but it's also some grants. I know that we won some grants. It was 6,000 proposals and 30 go through. So it's extremely competitive, as you understand, to go through that jungle. But some, when we, for example, compete in Sweden for Erasmus, maybe 40 projects are submitted, 40 applications, so 60, and 10 go through. Then the chances for us are much, much higher to get those Erasmus compared to those which are where we compete with all other European countries. Or Horizon, you compete with the whole world, for example. It's even more competitive. So the bigger the geographical area, the more competitive the fund is. So yeah, but competitive is something which characterizes them all to lesser or bigger degree. Depends on the grant. If you have questions on this, before you forget, write down now in the chat. I go to the third and final characteristic for all grants. It's this, accountable. The grants, they are given, as I already mentioned, for a certain purpose. You solve a certain social or other issue and certain priority, and you propose your idea, your vision, how to solve it. And also your project application is your business plan where you describe how. So basically, this is extremely important that when you write application, you are very aware that what you propose there that you can do. Because then when you receive this money, when you report back to the commission, you need really to fulfill the promise to the euro and to the each little KPI, to the each little objective. So basically, project application is always general objective when you describe your general goal. It's a specific objective when you describe exactly what you do, how many people you will meet, what your product looks like, and like it's general objective. And then it's a number of activities you promise, it's your budget. So basically, when you write this, it's extremely important, it's realistic, because you need to report back exactly as you promised. Because yes, this money is non-returnable, you don't need to return. But if you do a bad job, or if you do not manage to report in the right way, you don't collect these justifications, these proofs of your implementation that you did this job exactly as you promised or better, then actually it happens quite often that you need to send the money back. Most of the projects you need to send back partly, but those who really fail, then you need to send back the whole sum. And it's really not fun because you already pay your salaries, you already spend money partly because all this money are given normally in advance. So as soon as you write the grant agreement with the commission, coordinator who is responsible for this money for the partnership or this organization which is responsible, they get the money, and directly after you sign, you get the money in advance, and then you spend them, and then you report them. So basically, it's very important to do a good job, otherwise you need to send back. And most common what happens in this world, then if the quality of the result is worse than promised, or not action plan which you promised, your business plan is not done exactly as you promised, so European Commission or a grant manager, they decrease this sum from the final payment to you, so you get a little bit less or much less than what you expected, what's written in your proposal. But yeah, in the worst case scenario, if everything is bad, then you need to send back the whole sum. So it's like, for me, it's always like Hollywood movie when a couple is together and they chase each other, and it's a lot of hurdles and difficulties, and then they finally become together, and on the bridge they kiss each other, and movie stops. It's like, this is a happy end. In grant management, it's exactly the opposite. When this happy end happens to you, when you get this grant, when you fought for it, when you wrote, when you collected your partners, and then when you start the project, this is when the real life starts. And there you need to have focus. So basically, it's important to already when you write the correct business plan. Or if it changes, you need to be aware that, yeah, it can influence your money. But this workshop is about basically grant management, how to find grants, and we will not go through the project management because it's another type of training. So accountable is also something which is very characteristic for grants, and it's very different from investment because investors, they give you money, they give you a sum, and you promise, they evaluate the risk, and if you burn money and nothing happens, okay, the investor loses his or her share, and that's it. It's like basically, it's not the same way you need to report and be accountable like you do in grant. Here is extremely bureaucratic. How to do it. So this is the third characteristic. So targeted, competitive, and accountable. These are three common characteristics for all European and not only, for all grants which are existing in this world. And now I will just show a little bit so you understand how this machinery behind this money giving works, to have a full picture why grants exist and how all this money is decided, so you can from your side like learn to fish, learn to understand this jungle of grants available there. I want to show you this picture. It's EU grant landscape. So basically every year EU gives billions in grants, billions. You can see here the budget for 2025. And it's not little money, it's 192 billion euro, which is given this year for all these different grants, for all these different projects. And it goes like this, the process, that European Commission proposes annual budget for this part of European Union management, grant management. So then European Council adopts guidelines how to deal with this money, how to share them, and then European Parliament reviews and approves the budget. And then every body which is responsible for managing this money, they get their part. Like European Commission, they know exactly how much money they have for each program they are responsible for. Each national government, when they receive money, they know exactly how much they receive. So each year, this is decided and it's billions. And then all this money, they are channeled out to you, to us, to all who apply through different programs. For us, it's now to only, from the other side of this decision-making machinery, from us is to understand how to exactly find the grant which is relevant for our organization, for our mission, and for our needs. And when we find it, we apply, and then we are part of this 192 billion euro. So do you have any questions? I think we can break for questions because now I will show you exactly the, I see the questions here. Budget you to you. I don't know what you, but yeah, let's probably, I will now show this where all European grants, the platform where they all exist in the platform. And then I will show how I navigate it. So basically, and how my team navigates, how we look for it, and how we make sure that which grants are suitable and relevant for us, how we make this monitoring and selection of the concrete grants before we start writing them. Yes, year to year. Yes, thank you, year on year. And which industries? Yes, it's more questions for the end. I will answer them later. That yes. So basically, grants. You know, you are people who are here. I guess you know what grants is, and it's what we already found out in the chat at the beginning. And you are probably in different Facebook groups and in other groups which publish all different different calls of proposals. But I wanted to show to you from basically zoom out and show to you that how these grants are decided and how they are distributed. And now I will show you exactly where everything is collected in one place, and then how you navigate this place in order to find what is good for you. So basically, it doesn't matter how you land into the grant which you like. It can be through a Facebook group, you see the opportunity. It can be someone sends to you an opportunity via messenger, via email, or you can actually strategically come to this platform, which is called EU Funding and Tenders Portal. And here are all those thousands of grants, all thousands of grants available in European Union for all sectors and for all priorities. So basically, as I say, we who work with it professionally, we monitor this platform, this portal, and we all the time plan our year. We see which grants we want to go for and for which grants our clients we want to focus on. But people can get this information, as I said, from other sources. It's like through different groups, someone informs or someone sends over the opportunity, and it's also fine. But at the end of the day, you will always land in this portal for European grants, for EU funding, because they are centrally collected here. And here you see these two buttons, find calls for tenders. And this is not what we're talking about. Tenders is something totally different from grants. But today we speak about call for proposals. And this is what we mean by grants. So you go to calls of proposals. And and then you come to this page. You will see, it's 10,000 plus items found. Okay, it seems like a lot of monitoring to do for one person, and it needs many days to sit there and read all this. So how do we do? You have here to the left filters. And it's very good to use those filters if you want to save a little bit more time and not go through like every call which is open to every field, because here you see second call for innovation studies for development of general AI models, open for submission. And here you see that digital, it's under this program, digital. So basically, and this is like all, it's agriculture, horizon, education, everything in this platform, and it's not sorted out in any way. It's just like chaotically they are published. So you can basically decrease your search here by choosing only the pro calls which are relevant now, because there are two periods. One is already closed in 2020, and there are a lot of calls, 4,650, which are already closed in the last period. Some of them still going on the project, but it's nothing you want to apply because these calls are closed. You want to see the open opportunities. So basically you press this button, 5,000. You want the open. And then you can also submission status. You see that it's closed calls 5,000, but open for submission 438, and 7 are coming. So if you just choose these two, suddenly you have much less to navigate. You have 455 only calls which are either open or they are coming soon. There is a date when the call will open. And so basically, if you are totally novice and you don't know nothing and you want to learn the platform, you can go through these calls and read, but you also can search actually for your area if you know which type of program is relevant for you. And we will talk a little bit about that today, but we will cover mostly in the coming workshops for depending on which fields you are, because all of you have different types of organizations, so different types of calls are relevant for your industry and also for your priorities. So basically here, if you're in health, probably you want to see these certain calls. If you're in a creative art, you want to see this call. If you are in a pilot projects and research, you can want to see this call. Single market, it's very hard to know what single market program if you're not in the call. So that's why in this area. So that's why I propose that you really go through and read and see what opportunities. I will show you how to quickly make this judgment. But yeah, you have all these different calls of proposals here. It's one Erasmus Open, Justice Program. So basically, it's hard to know what you're relevant. And you see it's a lot of Horizon Open. And just already heads up to you, Horizon program is always open for Ukraine. So these calls are, when it comes to this technical part, Horizon is open for Ukraine. Other programs, some of them are open, some of them are closed, and this you can find if you dig deeper. But this 245, if you find your priority, your area, and good ideas, these are open for you. So, and this is where we start. We identify these calls, and then we go to each call and read. And this is how it looks like. I found something which is interesting for you, for Ukrainian startup, because normally, let me go back. Normally, European grants, they work in a way that they want a partnership. Most of the grants, majority of the grants, they require cooperation. So they want more than one organization to apply. One is always a coordinator, the one who applies for money, and the rest are partners. But it's this coordinator, it's not more powers than partners. Actually, it's the whole partnership. It's exactly the same power between all, but it's only one who sends in application. But everyone is responsible, and money is shared also equally according to agreement. So it's not any difference there. But it's only one who applies. Otherwise, it would be chaos if, like many organizations, apply in the system. So one applies for the whole partnership. But if you really are interested in grants and you go through and check, you can sometimes find funds which are only for one organization. And if you're really lucky, it can be exactly for your sector and for your field, like this one. This one I wanted already to flag for you today, as many of you are Ukrainian deep tech. So now it's a one call open, which is much less competitive to you, as it's only for Ukrainian tech SMEs and startups. It's opened 12th of August. It will close 26th of November. And here you don't need any partners. You can just apply yourself. And if you do have a good idea, if you read the rest of the document, if you have a good idea, you can get this money. So you compete only with Ukrainian organizations. So sometimes when European Union wants to help a specific sector, specific country or specific questions, they do these calls. That's why it's never, from year to year, it's important to know this platform, how to navigate it and how to look for funds, because it's never standard. For example, this call for Ukrainian deep tech, it only exists this year, and I hope they will open it more years, because Ukrainian tech is a very promising field, and I hope this call will exist. But it's nothing which you take for granted. It's like they decide this budget, which I showed to you, and they show like, okay, we want to support Ukrainian tech. This is the call. We want to support agriculture in Europe. This is the call. We want to support women business entrepreneurs. This is the call. And sometimes it's fine if you only apply, or if you apply with one partner, and sometimes they demand 5 countries, 5 partners. So basically, when you in this platform find something interesting for you, you press this button, you come to this page, and basically you read the conditions. It's very, very clear. Topic description, they are very clear. It's like never water. They exactly write what it's like for Ukrainian startup, for example. They want to give this money, you can see it, to address investors and test and validate the market readiness towards commercialization and deployment, market research, value proposition, business case, and business model. So basically, you read it and you understand. If you're a deep tech, if you have a product, but you need to test and validate market readiness, if you have a product for that, you can do it through this fund. It's crystal clear already here. And here they show what at the end you need to demonstrate, what you need to. So you really read exactly these instructions. They are very crystal clear. Scope. Here is also, this is other technical conditions which I told you. The action focuses on deep tech startups. And they exactly what they mean by deep tech, it's also crystal clear described here. So basically, if you are that, I recommend you to apply because it's I think it's 500,000 and it's a good money for to get. So basically, if you decide to submit, here is always in this platform, in this portal, is always a button when you press and you start the submission. And this is what we will cover the submission in coming workshops. Today, I only show how to look for and how to read. So first level is portal. Second level, read carefully here, this first page in the portal. It's always described in the same way, all the conditions. And third level, it's this document. This is extremely important. This is what I always read as Bible, before I even make a step to the left or to the right. This is, we exactly applied for this project for a couple of weeks ago. So basically on this platform, when we found this call, if you want to have all the information about exactly this grant, it's so-called call of proposals. It's always there. It looks a little bit different for different calls as a layout, but it's always a document with instruction which you go to. And in this document, you read if you are relevant. And this is what I always do. And how do you know you are relevant? Table of contents. You see what this money is given for. When I talked about priorities, you actually check which priorities is this call is given for. This fund, AMIF, it's always, this fund is for integration and migration. So basically migrants, internal refugees, integration activities of refugees. It's very broad. It supports everything when it comes to refugees and migrants, everything between heaven and earth. But in order to understand if my idea and my organization and my partners are suitable, I read the priorities, and it's very clear here, themes and priorities. And you can see here that it's 5 priorities which were given. One was for support for migrant women's social and economic. Sorry, my computer will die. Social about this. Wait a second. Do you see my screen still?
Yes, but oh yeah.
Yeah, because I shared now on a big screen, and yeah. Because my computer, sorry, technical issue. So basically, for migrant women, it was first priority. Access to health care for migrants, it's second priority. Digital skills, third. Pathways linked to education, fourth. So if you're in education sector, it's really call for you. If you're in the healthcare, really call for you. If you are working with supporting measures for somehow supporting women with their job or social opportunity, or if your startup can offer somehow a solution to existing problems, this call is for you. And also children in migration, the last call. So basically, they're extremely concrete. When I read those calls, I go to and I read exactly the call always. If I read for women, it's crystal clear said exactly what this call supports, why it exists. They speak here the displacement of people from Ukraine, for example, focused public attention on specific needs of women fleeing with children. So basically, if you want to apply for money, you need to read this very carefully, and you think like, yes, I have a solution. I know the problem of Ukrainian women abroad or women internally displaced in Ukraine because it's bombed and it's harder with job and everything and psychological help and everything. So I read this and I know I have an idea. Then I go for it. So basically, this is the first thing. I validate my idea that this priority is for me. The second thing, before I read the whole document and spend a lot of time, the second thing I always check is this, so-called eligibility. am I relevant for this call? And it's always in all call documents, it's always priority and it's always eligibility. After I check the priority and I like what I see, I like this call, I think, yes, I have a great idea, I can nail it. Then I go and see, am I eligible to apply? And on page 28, I directly can see that. Sorry for this. To save time, quickly to page 28, I want you to see. Here, eligibility. It's always the same how eligibility is described. Eligible participant and countries. And I always see that to be eligible, you need to be legal entity. Basically, you need to have a registered organization and not to be just a person, me, Jenny, or Evgenia, who wants to do something nice for women. I need to represent an organization. I need to be established in one of the eligible countries in European Union or countries associated to AMIF. And in order to see for Ukraine, it's always countries associated as it's European Union grants. But European Union has opened its grant for many for many grants for Ukrainian organization. So it's also very easy to check that you go to this link. We will not do it now, but it's a list of countries who are eligible, and Ukraine is there. So if Ukraine is there, you basically check always non-EU country, you're eligible, yes, fine. Then for me, I am established entity. Then I am eligible. And here I read this like it's a lot of legal stuff, it's good to read. And then they also describe always consortium composition. To apply for this women, which Mira applied for, Mira Sweden, we needed to be 5 applicants, 5 organizations from 5 different countries. So there we were 5. You can be 6 or 7, but not less than 5, because then if you are 4, then the first stage of evaluation, then you fail because technically you are not relevant, you're not eligible because it needs to be minimum 5. Then here is important, I always check the 2. As coordinator, the one who sends in proposal, it can be not for profit entity. So it can be university, NGO, or public authority. Mira is a small and medium-sized enterprise. So it can be a partner, but not coordinator in this case, because it's not eligible in this case. And it's also every call, it's crystal clear who can be partner, who can be coordinator, which countries, and all this information is really always there. So just for you, these 3 steps I always do. Portal. Then it's I read this first page to see dates, and I read this here. It's already priorities. Everything is already described. If I like these priorities on this page, I go to this call and I check my eligibility. Sorry, do you hear? I want to see which screen you see. You see the text, right? Because I share on.
Yes, we can see the text.
Because on my laptop I don't see anymore this. Okay, good. So these are 3 steps. It's portal, content, if it's right sector and right priority, and eligibility. It's geographical and what type of companies they want. After you've done this check, then you can start and write. But it really takes, even if you're not experienced, it can take you an hour to read and go through these steps. But then you can make a simple decision. Shall I go for it and not? And if you, in your organization, in your institution, if you have people dedicated who monitor, as many of our partners do and our clients, they have people who monitor, and as soon as they find, then they start to evaluate like together, let's go for it. But it's in order to increase your chances and to work strategically with this money, it's better to basically steer it, to control it. And you can control by being proactive, by checking, by evaluating, this is for me, I am eligible, I am relevant. Then I read the call, and then I try to set up the project idea in a way the European Commission wants me to. And this is, as I said, it will be the next workshops, how we set up the idea that we have originally our idea, our organization in mind, but that we describe it, we pitch it in a way that it's for European Commission interesting to read and it's relevant for them. So it's also some secrets in the field, which I will share in the coming. So basically, yes, just quickly that all these billions which I showed to you, 190 or how many billions, and this portal, it's divided basically in two big groups. One group is European structural and investment funds, and they go directly to nation states, to countries. Like Sweden gets every year to certain funds, like European Social Fund, for example. It's a fund for improving labor market integration for different groups. And so this money goes directly to Sweden, and it's Swedish organizations who manage those funds. Or it's Italian, so they go directly to countries and they are not open for all European Union. So it's basically coordinator must be Sweden, in this case, if it's Swedish European Social Fund, and then Sweden can invite partners. But then these green ones, it's a direct grants. And you can answer now in the chat which one is more relevant for Ukrainian startups. Is it country grants or is it direct, which are managed directly by European Commission? These are money which are managed directly centrally, and they are given to also to very different purposes: research, innovation, social impact, tech. So if you answer is in the, what do you think, green or red are for Ukrainian startups? Green. Good. Yeah. Directly, correctly. Yes. It's green, which are relevant for Ukrainian startups. And this is a platform which I showed to you. And today I have taking some examples. As I said for you, my goal was to show how to monitor and how to fish, not to give you like apply for these 3 grants, because you will be like, this is not strategic way to work with grants, and you will be always dependent on someone who needs to advise to you where to look and how to look, and you will miss a lot of opportunities. But here I want anyway to highlight that these are relative for Ukraine, for social impact startups, if you go to this portal. And these are for different purposes. Like SERVE, it's for social impact, civic engagement, democracy projects. AMIF, it's migration and integration, which I already showed to you. Horizon, it's innovation, research, deep tech, it's technical solution with social impact. Creative Europe, if you deal with arts, media, creative sector. Social entrepreneurship is Erasmus, and training and education and social entrepreneurship scheme is Erasmus. So basically, these are examples of grants which are available on this platform for Ukrainian organization for social impact startups. And for tech, it's also tech can be in many if it's relevant, but here I took some of grants for tech startups, which are interesting for you who work with tech. Of course, Horizon is the biggest, and it's always open for Ukraine, so there you can check. ACE Accelerator, it's also both grant, but they also combine with a little investment support, so it's good to research what it means. Digital Europe program is grant. ACE Pathfinder and Transition is also grant for like high risk, high reward experimental projects, like in medicine, in those fields where you really, it's high risk and expensive, so you can get this early stage breakthrough money. Yeah, and in Offind, it's also grants, loan and guarantees. So it's a lot for Ukraine, and we will in coming workshops to go a little bit closer in some of them, or maybe you will find in this portal something totally different. But yeah, as you see, it's a jungle, and it's good to know how to navigate it, how to facilitate it. And yeah, now it's a homework, but before homework, I want to finish my presentation by, before we go to questions, by showing you this QR code. It's a newsletter which Mira publishes every week. And if you want if you want to have news about, we publish grant opportunities, we publish like different tips and tricks and recommendations, how to write, how to lead projects, how to measure social impact, how to do a project budget. So it's actually for grant writers and grant managers, hands-on tools, which are like, we publish what we know from experience there. So if you're interested, please subscribe to this newsletter, and then you can be really in line with this very hands-on news from our side. And we will also share both the presentation with you, QR code, and also one more announcement is that we start in November the new batch of the course for grant writers, where we'll work like it's a school where we write based on your own project ideas. You develop your grant, and then it's training and consultancy together. So it will be also shared by Ukrainian Fund of Startups with you. If you're interested, please join us in that training.